In today's video, we're going to be beating Modern with a Cucumber. If you're confused on what I mean, this is a deck given to me by my patron Kessig, and it's called Cucumber Aggro. This is an old green-white Heliod company list that's adding Orcish Bowmasters and Grist as a black splash. And if you haven't seen this combo before, Heliod plus Spike Feeder is infinite life, and Heliod plus Walking Ballista is infinite damage. And one of the reasons this deck is so powerful is because of the amazing 3-drop Ranger Captain of Eos. But the reason this is so powerful is because it's great card advantage. It can find your combo piece in Walking Ballista and just get you a nice ramp card with the Lighted Halfling or Noble Hierarch. So we're going to be taking this cool Cucumber combo deck through a League of Modern and seeing if Cucumbers can actually destroy Modern. Match 1, we're on the play, and our hand's a little weak, but we will keep. We'll go turn 1 Force into a Hierarch. Then we'll go turn 1 Amaria into a Giver. Another land for us, unfortunate. We'll fetch out of Plains and play out our Spike Feeder. No plays out of Urzaga, I mean we're probably against taxes. And Bowmasters is a nice pickup. We'll attack in with our Feeder. Then we'll play out another Feeder and play out our fetch land. They play a Plains, holding up Saga. Ooh, a Collected Company, that's a good one. We'll play out our Bastion and attack in with our Feeders. And they do make a Construct, so in response, we will fire off our Coco. I mean a Heliod and a Ranger Captain. And then we will pick up a Ballista. And they do block, giving their Construct protection. And after combat, we're going to go for Infinite Life. And I think we'll stop at 250. I'm going to float some mana with their Saga. Getting a Colossus Hammer. What the heck? I did not expect that. I guess we're up against Hammer? Wow, okay, that's some good information. Let's get on to sideboarding. We're going to bring in 3 Knight of Autumn, 3 Collector Oof, and 3 Push for Grist, 4 Orcish Bowmasters, Endurance, and Sanctifiers. Game 2, our hand's a little too slow, so we got them all. And our 6 looks great. We'll put back a Collected Company. When it goes turn 1 Plains, we find another land. We'll play out our Verdant. They play out an Inkmoth Nexus into a Stoneforge, picking up a Hammer. And Halfling is a great pickup, but we're going to go Forest into an Oof. They put a Saga and then activate their Stoneforge, putting in a Cauldron, attacking in for 5, and then play out a Pithy Needle, naming Spike Feeder. We pick up another land, we'll play out our Township into Heliod, and then attack in for 2. Oh, they play out a Cigarzade, and since we know about the Hammer, they can equip it to their Germ, and that should just be lethal. So let's scoop it up and get on to game 3. Game 3, our starter looks quite strong. We'll go turn 1 fetch out a Temple Garden into a Halfling. They play turn 1 Plains into a Giver, and sadly we cannot play anything here, but we'll attack in for 1. See if they block. No! They play out a Canopy into a Stoneforge, picking up a Cauldron, and we find a Ballista. We'll play out our Heliod. They play out a Saga, activating their Stoneforge, putting Cauldron into a Gingerbrew, attacking in for 6. But little do they know, we're gonna have some life next turn. Ooh, we do find a land as well. We'll fetch out a Forest and play out our Spike Feeder, and we're gonna gain some life here, so I guess we'll see in a second. And 54 seems like a good life total. We'll pass back. When it plays out a Pure Steel into a Colossus Hammer, drawing a card, and then they equip their Hammer to their Stoneforge, and on the end step, we'll go to push their Giver. Ooh, we also find a Oof. So we're gonna go for the play here of playing out our Walking Ballista, then we're gonna try and give it life link with our Heliod, and we'll remove a counter from our Spike Feeder, gaining some life, and put a counter on our Ballista, and then we are going to try and ping them to death here. And in response, they cast a Surge of Salvation, so we're going to remove another counter off our Spike Feeder, gaining more life, putting a counter on our Ballista, and then go for another ping. And they scoop it up in response because we have infinite damage, so let's get on to match number 2. Match 2, we're on the play, and our starting hand is perfectly fine. We'll lead on turn 1 Triome, and opponent goes turn 1 Cliffs into a Grief, unfortunate, and they take our Sanctifier, casting a Malice, getting out a Scammed Grief, and then taking a Spike Feeder. And we top deck another Ranger, so we'll play out another Triome. They play out a Takanuma into a Thoughtseize, taking one of our captains, poking us for 4. We find another captain. We'll play out our Township and play out a captain, and we're gonna pick up Ballista. They play out a Dothy and then attack in for 4. We find a Tomb. We'll attack in with our captain, then we'll shock in a Tomb and play out a 2/2 Ballista. And they attack in with both. I think we have to kill the Dothy, sadly, and they do have a Feign Death to keep it alive. And we do find a Heliod here. We'll play out our Ranger, and we'll pick up a Ballista, fetching out a Forest, and playing out a 1/1 Ballista. They attack in for 4. We'll take it. Ah, and they have a Bowmasters to finish this off, so let's get on to sideboarding. We're going to take out 2 Hierarchs and a Skyclave for Sanctifier and 2 Veils. Game 2, our hand has no land, so we got a bowl. And I guess we're going down to 5. Our 5 looks quite strong. We'll put back a Tomb and a fetch land. We'll go turn 1 Verdant. They have another turn 1 Grief. Yep, and they can scam it out, taking both of our cards. And we top deck another land. They put a Pithy Needle, naming our land. And we do find a Bowmasters. They fetch out a Blood Crypt, playing a Dothy, then attacking with Grief. So we're going to go with a Bowmasters in a double block. And this allows us to trade off with a Grief. Oh my god, we don't have another white source, unfortunate. Yep, and they fire off a Thoughtseize, taking our Ranger. Then they play out a Ragavan, attacking for 3. And we do find a Heliod, so maybe we can top deck a Spike Feeder and win this one. They attack in for 5, exiling our Veil. We top deck another Heliod, not going to help us. And on the instep, they flash in a Bowmaster, so opponent has us. Let's get on to match number 3. Match 3, we're on the play and our hand's too weak. And our 6 looks much stronger. We'll put back a Plains. We'll go turn 1 Fetch Shock, playing out our Halfling. Oh god, is this the mirror match? And we top deck a Skyclave, so I'm actually going to take out their Delighted Halfling instead of playing anything else. They play out, I think, into a Gilded Goose. I'm assuming this is some sort of combo deck, but I'm not sure. We top deck another Captain. We'll play one out, picking up a Ballista, and then playing out a tap Triome, attacking in for 2. They play a Forest and have nothing to do. And we do find a Heliod. We're going to play out a 2/2 Ballista, and then go to combat, attacking in for 3. And on the inset, they chord for 1. Finding a Haywire Might, and we can just ping that down. Not really sure why they got that. They play out a Wooded Bastion, again doing nothing. And we find a Spike Feeder, and we'll play that out, then attacking for 3. Whoa, they have a Coco! Crazy! And they pick up a Grist and a Halfling. They float 2 mana and then down tick the Grist, trying to kill our Ballista, so we will ping down their Grist. Then they play out a Samwise into a Vizier Seer. They're pretty close to being able to just win here, and thankfully nothing else. We find a Forest, we'll play that. Then we will play out our Heliod and a Ballista for 1, and we'll remove a counter from Spike Feeder, gaining some life, putting a counter on our Ballista, and then we'll ping down their Viziers here, attacking in for 5. And opponent scoops it up, so let's get on to sideboarding. We're going to take out 4 Spike Feeder, 2 Coco, and a Heliod for 3 Thoughtseize, 3 Push, and a Sanctifier. Game 2, our 7 looks amazing. They go turn 1 Tomb into a Delighted Halfling, and we find another Thoughtseize, we'll play out our Triome. They play a Heath into a Cauldron, poking us in for 1. We really wanted to land here, but we got to fire off a Thoughtseize. Those are both terrifying cards, and I think we do have to take the Coco. They found a land, unfortunate. Yep, and they do slam their Yogg. I don't know what the heck we're supposed to do. We'll shock in our Godless Shrine and then fire off our Thoughtseize, taking out their Fatal Push, and they attack in with the team. And on their instep, we'll flash into Bowmasters, trying to take out the Cauldron. And in response, they do sacrifice their Cauldron. Come on, land. Please, please. We'll play out our Ranger, and we'll pick up a Ballista. They go straight to combat, poking us for 2. Then they play out a Grist. And of course, that they get a double activation. And we find a Coco, so we'll play out our Grist. And I guess we'll down tick. And they do let us sacrifice our Orc to try and kill their Yogg. And thankfully, they do sacrifice an insect because they did just have lethal. And their Yogg goes down. They play out a Samwise into a Gilded Goose. Then they sack a food, bringing back a Cauldron. Then they down tick with their Grist, trying to kill our Ranger, so we'll sack it. All right, land, please. That counts. So we'll shock it in and hope we hit Spike Feeder Heliod. Oh wait, we don't even have Spike Feeders in our deck. I don't think we have any outs here. Yep, well, we'll just concede here. And I still don't think we want Spike Feeder, so let's just get into game 3. Game 3, our hand looks amazing. We'll go turn 1 Godless Shrine and fire off a Thoughtseize. And we'll take their Gilded Goose. They go turn 1 Marsh into a Haywire Might. We find a Marsh Flats, we'll play that, and holding up Bowmasters. They play out a Verdant and attacking for 1. And we find a Hierarch, but we're still going to hold up Bowmasters. And on our inset, they flash into Bowmasters. They play out a Bastion and attacking with the team, so we'll flash into Bowmasters, killing their Bowmasters. And our army will block the Haywire Might, trading off. And they have a Fatal Push, taking out our token, keeping their Might alive. Ooh, Sanctifier. We'll play out a Hierarch, and then play out our Sanctifier. And we'll attack in for 2. They play out an Overgrown Tomb into a Ranger Captain, picking up another Might. We pick up a Temple Garden. We'll play out a Skyclave, taking out their Haywire Might. Then we'll shock in our Temple Garden and hold up our Bowmasters. They play out their Boseiju into a Haywire Might, and then they attack in for 3. And on the instep, we'll flash our Bowmasters, taking out a Might. We find a Halfling. We will play out our Heliod. Then we'll attack in for 3 with our Skyclave. And they do have a Coco, unfortunate. And those are 2 pretty good cards to get. They're going to shoot us for 1 with the Bowmasters, and then pick up a Cauldron. And they do go to trade. We're going to give our Skyclave lifelink, and we gain 3 life, and we'll put a +1/+1 counter on our Sanctifier. Oh, they top deck a Yawgmoth. That's so good, because we knew the rest of their hand. That's such an unfortunate draw for them. And they attack with the Ranger, and we'll block with our army. We find another Halfling. We'll play 1 out. Then we'll attack with our Sanctifier, and they do chump block, so we'll give it life. And they go for a down tick here, getting rid of one of our Bowmasters. So that means we get 2 triggers with our Bowmasters. And we're going to go 1 damage to their Bowmaster and 1 damage to face. And they sacrifice their Bowmasters that we're targeting to kill our Bowmasters, and that'll trigger our Bowmasters, so we'll ping them again. And then after combat, we'll play out our Halfling. They play out a Swamp, then push our army into a Vizier Seer and a Cauldron Familiar. Then they play out a Gilded Goose, getting a food. They sack their Goose, putting a counter on our Halfling. And they sack another creature, killing a Halfling. Then they sack their Cauldron, putting another counter on our Halfling. Yep, and they play another creature, killing our Halfling, and attacked in for lethal. So let's get on to match number 4. Match 4, we are on the play, and our hand's a little too slow. And our 6 looks amazing. We'll put back a Coco. We'll lead on turn 1 Heath. They go turn 1 Stevens into a Ragavan, and we have a Sanctifier, so this is going to be great. We top deck a Spike Feeder, but we're going to play out our Sanctifier. They cycle Lorn Revealed, picking up a Stevens, and then play out a DRC. Then they cast out a Bobble, surveilling the card to the top. We draw another Sanctifier, but we're going to play out our Bowmasters and kill their DRC now. They bolt down our Bowmasters, then cast out a Consider, playing a Polluted Delta into a Bobble, and they look at their top, fetch it away, shocking in a Stevens. We top deck another Spike Feeder, we'll play out a Sanctifier, and then we'll attack in for 3. And before damage, they Unholy Heater at work. They cast out an EI, exiling a Strand, and then playing out a Bauble. And they play out their island, passing back. And we still don't find a land, so we'll attack in for 2. They play out a DRC, and nothing else for them. We finally find a land, we'll play out our Marsh Flats and attack in for 2. Then we'll fetch Shock and play out a Heliod. And they do have a counterspell for it. They cast out Consider, Bending a Bolt. Then they play out a Misty and attack in for 3. We top deck our Ranger Captain, we'll play that out, and it resolves. So we'll pick up a Delighted Halfling and then attack in for 4. And they cast an Unholy Heat on our Ranger Captain, so we'll just sack it. And they're down to 1. They attack in for 5, exiling a forest from us. Then they play out a Ledger Shredder into a Ragavan, and they scoop it up. Let's get on to sideboarding. We're going to take out a Ballista, Hierarch, Heliod, and 2 Skyclaves for 3 Thoughtseize, 2 Veils, and 1 Sanctifier. Game 2, we're going to mold a 6. And our 6 looks quite strong. We'll put back a Spike Feeder. They go turn 1 Spire Bluff. We top deck another Bowmasters. We'll Shock in our Temple Garden, playing a Halfling. And they have an Unholy Heat for that. They play out a Delta into a DRC. No Black Swords for us. And on the instep, they cast a Consider. They play out a Spire Bluff and attack in for 1. And Sanctifier is not a horrible top deck. We'll try and resolve it. And they do have a counterspell. They cast out an EI. And they exile a Murktide Regent, attacking in for 1, playing a land. Yep, and after combat, looks like they're slamming this Murktide. And Veil Summer is not going to help us, so we'll scoop it up and get on to game 3. Game 3, our starting hand looks great. We'll lead on turn 1 Windswept Teeth. They go turn 1 Canal. We find a Coco off the top. We'll play our Bastion and slam a Sanctifier. Let's go, it resolves. They play out a Canal into Ledger Shredder. We find another Forest. We'll play it out and slam a Spike Feeder. They untap, casting a Consider, and then bolting down our Spike Feeder, so we will gain some life in response. And they end up conniving away a DRC off the Shredder, playing out a Canal afterwards. We top deck another land. We're going to fetch out a Plains and slam this Coco now. Hopefully they don't have a Spell Pierce. It resolved, but only got turrets. We'll shuffle in their graveyard and then attack in for 2. They cast out an EI, exiling an Unholy Heat. Then they Consider and connive with their Shredder. They shock in the Steam Vents, passing back. Ooh, Ranger Captain. Don't mind if I do. We'll pick up a Halfling. Then we'll play a tap Temple Garden, passing back. Denying them the connive here. Opponent passes their turn, going to the instep, playing out a Dress Down. Ooh, Heliod. But we'll play out a Halfling into another Sanctifier, and then we'll pass back. And before the Dress Down goes away, they bolt down a Sanctifier. They untap, casting out an EI. They exile an Unholy Heat, then play out a land. Then they Unholy Heat our Ranger Captain, so we will sacrifice it. And then they play out a 5/5 Murktide, another land off the top for us. We will play out our Heliod, then play out a Marsh Flats, and pass the opponent. They cast out another EI, which exiles an Unholy Heat, and they fire off a Heat on our Endurance, conniving away a land, and then attacking in for 8. And they do nothing else. Ooh, spiky boy. That is a very good card. God, this is such a tough turn. I'm concerned that they have a Dress Down here, and either way, that's a really bad play for us. So I think we're just going to go to combat here and attack in with Sanctifier, and we will give it lifelink, and we'll put a +1/+1 counter on our Endurance, and then we'll play out our Spike Feeder, and that does meet a counterspell. Opponent goes straight to combat. We will block with our Endurance, giving it lifelink, and when we gain the life, we'll put a counter on our Sanctifier. And after combat, they slam a Fury, so I think we just have the win here, and they kill our Endurance and our Halfling. But unless they have a Subtlety, they don't have any outs here. We'll play out our 2/2 Ballista, give it lifelink, and time to machine gun them down, and they scoop it up there. Let's get on to match number 5. Match 5, we're on the play yet again, and our mana base is still looking horrible. We gotta mull this. And this looks much better. We'll put back a Heliod. We'll go turn 1 Temple Garden into a Halfling. Opponent goes turn 1 Watergrave into a Fatal Push. Hierarch's a great draw, but we're gonna slam our Sanctifier. And opponent plays a Shelldock Isle, meaning we're up against Mill. We top deck another Halfling. So let's play out a Hierarch and attack in for 3. And they play out a Makokoro. I'm so lost. Well, we have a Spike Feeder, but this does nothing in the matchup because Infinite Life doesn't do anything against Mill. So we'll play out our Halfling, attack in for 3, and then hold up our Bowmasters. And on our instep, they do go for a drown, so we have to flash in our Bowmasters. And we'll tickle the opponent for 1. They play out an island into a Jace the Perfected Mine, ticking up on our Sanctifier. Oh my god, that was such a good draw. We'll play out our Skyclave and take out their Jace. Then we'll attack in for 2. Opponent cycles a Fractured Sanity, which triggers Bowmasters, milling us for 4 though. Then they shock in a Grave, passing back, and we find a Grist. But we're going to lead on attacking in with the team. And they have a Murderous Cut, killing our Skyclave. And they do want to take down our Sanctifier. And after combat, we'll slam our Grist. Then we'll tick up. They cast out a Fatal Push, getting rid of our Bowmasters, and they cycle a Fractured Sanity. And nothing else from them. And we do finally find a land. We'll play out our Bastion, and then attacking with the team. And they're still keeping themselves alive barely by killing our Halfling. Then we'll tick up our Grist, and play out our Spike Feeder. And they scoop it up. Let's get on to sideboarding. We're going to take out 4 Spike Feeder, a Heliod, and a Walking Ballista for 3 Thoughtseize, 2 Veil, and a Sanctifier. Game 2, our starter looks great. And they have a Leyline of the Void, interesting. They go turn 1 land into a Crab. We find another Fetch fetch land, we will fetch and shock in a Temple Garden, playing out our halfling. They play out a field and mill over our ballista. Oh, well, now we cannot combo kill them. Then they cycle for extra sanity. We top deck a Veil, we'll shock in our Temple Garden and play out a Ranger Captain. And we'll pick up a Hierarch. They play out a Makokoro, milling us. And they activate their field, taking out one of our lands. We'll pick up a Forest. And they go for an Archive Trap, but we have our Veil. We top deck a Triumph. We will fetch and shock now. And then we'll play out a Hierarch and slam a Heliod as well. And we'll attack in for 4. They play out a Shelldock, milling us for 3. Opponent casts out Tasha's Hideous Laughter, taking us down to 17 cards. And Bowmasters is a good draw. And I don't think we have anything fetchable left in our deck. So this Bowmasters is not going to be castable, but we will play out our Coco now. And we'll pick up a Ranger Captain and a Sanctifier. And yeah, we don't have any fetchable lands. We're going to keep the Hierarch in our deck. And we'll attack in with everything. And they block our Halfling, going down to 5. And in their upkeep, we will sacrifice a Ranger Captain. They play out another Crab. And they go to activate their Shelldock Isle. I'm not sure what's underneath this, because they cannot cast non-creature spells. Oh, they play out a fetch land. And they pick up a Swamp, milling us for another 3. We're down to 2 cards in our deck. All right, we'll play out our Township and attacking with the team. And I think we're barely going to get across the line here. Yep, and they make these blocks, and we'll go to activate Township. Winning with Township in 2023 is a flash from the past. No, they have a fatal push. We were so close. Wait, they're down to 1. I forgot I have a Triumph. Oh, but I already played my land for turn. Yeah, I think we're just dead here. Yep, and they activate Makokoro, meaning that we are going to mill out in our upkeep. Close game. Let's get on to game 3. Game 3, we're going to keep a risky hand. Opponent dead mold of 5, so we'll shock in our Temple Guard and play out a Halfling. They go turn 1 Watery Grave into a push. We find a Hierarch. We'll play that out and fetch now. They play out a Crab and no land drop for them. Holy. We'll play out a Bastion and then cast out a Ranger. And we'll pick up a Ballista. And we might as well just attack it. Oh, they make the bluff. Wow, and still no land for them. Another land for us. We will play it out and attack in for 4. And we will fetch shock now and play out both of our Bowmasters. And we'll save the other one. And they cast a push on our Bowmasters. They play out another Crab. We'll flash in a Bowmasters, pinging them for 1. Find another land. We'll shock in our Gardens and play out a 3/3 Ballista. Kill their Hedron Crab and attacking with our Captain. And they scoop it up. The Cucumber goes positive. After playing a league, I do think the Black Splash is definitely worth it, but the mana base is horrendous in this deck. We definitely do not need to be playing 2 Triumphs. Maybe one's not even necessary. And I'm not sure how I felt about Halfling. I think Hierarch's still just better in this list. But anyways, I hope you all enjoyed the video. Please consider leaving a like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next video.